Hi, everyone. Hello, high level listeners. Welcome to episode 13 of our advanced English podcast from High Level Listening. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about spending quality time with your family, and more specifically, spending quality time with your parents. Spending that quality time. Quality time is spending time with your family, friends, or loved ones without the distractions of daily life, like your phone, the TV, or work. So I think that for me, quality time is more precious. It's kind of not your just daily, seeing each other for 2 seconds. It's genuinely spending time with each other.
Yeah, it's not sending a text message or having a video chat. It's being there together in the same room, in person, spending quality time together. Before we get deeper into the episode, we'll introduce ourselves. We're High Level Listening, a platform where we try and take English language learners and take their English to the next level. My name is Mark, and I'm a teacher from the UK.
And I'm Kat. I'm a teacher from the United States. And we're here to offer you insights into the English language from both the American and the British perspectives.
If you're extra keen on studying, you can download a PDF transcript of this episode if you become a member. You can see a membership button down below, and you can access every single transcript of every single episode we've made so far. So you can take your studying off of YouTube and study it in your own time, however you like.
So, as usual, in these advanced English podcasts, we're going to read one script each about this week's topic. Now, both of our versions will have pretty much the exact same meaning. We'll be doing the same activities and we'll have the same ideas, but mine will be more of an American style and Mark's will have more of a British twist. After we read our scripts, we will go through each of our passages and explain the most useful vocabulary and expressions that you need to know to talk about your own experiences with your parents in high level English.
So I'll ask Kat the question first. How do you like to spend quality time with your parents?
I'm not really sure when the tradition started, but I usually find myself going over to my parents' house pretty much every Sunday to catch up and have lunch together. My dad, who is honestly a really good cook, likes to barbecue outside or we share a big meal together. It's nice. I get to see how they're doing and they get to keep tabs on me with work and vacation plans. After we're finished eating, I pitch in with a few chores around the house, helping out since, they're getting a bit older. If the weather's good, we might take a stroll around the park or the neighborhood. And when it's time to leave, I say my goodbyes and they start planning the menu for the following week. So that was my American side. Mark, how do you like to spend quality time with your parents?
Every other weekend, I pop over to my parents' house for a visit. It's become a lovely routine, really. My mum, being the fantastic cook she is, whips up a delicious breakfast, usually our favourite home comforts. Then, over a cup of tea, we catch up on each other's lives and share all the latest local gossip. After breakfast, I lend my dad a hand with a few things around the house, especially as he's getting on in years. If the weather's nice, we might have a wander around the park. Then I try to head off before it gets too late. I say my goodbyes and plan my next visit in a few weeks' time. So,
All right, excellent.
as we said, the scripts were quite similar. We both had
Definitely.
similar stories, similar ideas. So, what we'll do now is break down specific phrases, expressions, and any language that's useful or interesting. We'll compare our notes and see if some of them are more common in the UK and some are more familiar to American speakers. So, the first thing I'll ask Kat is, how often do you visit your parents?
Honestly, I'm not really sure when the tradition started, but I usually find myself going over to my parents' house pretty much every Sunday. Now, when I'm talking about, I'm not really sure when this tradition started. Traditions are something you do consistently with your family or your friends, either year after year or month after month. In this case, this has become a weekly tradition where every Sunday I seem to find myself at my parents' house. So, if I'm there pretty much every Sunday, that means it's very rare that I'm not there. It's very rare that I cancel. Pretty much every single Sunday. Maybe I've missed 1 or 2 Sundays, but I'm pretty much there every Sunday. So I kind of like this tradition. Each Sunday we get together and we chat. So, what
Yeah.
about you? How often do you visit your parents, Mark?
Every other weekend, I pop over to my parents' house for a visit. It's become a lovely routine. So it's every other weekend. So every weekend would be every week, every Saturday, every Sunday. But this is every other weekend. So one weekend I visit, the next weekend I don't, the weekend after I do. So it's yes, no, yes, no. It's every other weekend. So that's maybe twice a month. Every other weekend. You can also say every other day. That'd be Monday, Wednesday, and then Friday would be every other day. So quite often, as Kat said, um, I use one quite British verb that we've also discussed in previous episodes. I like to pop over,
Mhm.
pop over to my parents' house. There's two things going on in this phrase. Pop is a very casual British way to say go or visit. Pop also implies that it's usually kind of a short visit, or I'm going there in quite a casual way. It's not for a serious appointment or a serious conversation. I'm popping in to have fun, to have some food, and spend a good time together. So I might pop into the supermarket. That might take 5 or 10 minutes. I might pop over and use a different preposition because I'm going to someone's house.
Mhm.
If I say pop over, over means to someone's home. In
Mm.
this case, it's my parents' house. I'm popping over to their house. I could also invite people to my house. Would you like to pop over? Do you have time to pop over for some tea? Over is always in somebody's house. It's not in a restaurant or anywhere else. Come over, come to my house. Pop over, come to my house for a short time.
We actually have something very similar. I do feel like pop into and pop over are quite British. We would probably say head into, nice and quickly, or head over. Hey, you should come over. Hey, you should head over. That means you should come to my house. Come over. Come over to mine. Head over to mine. That means come to my house. Come over to my
Mm,
house. You should
sure,
come
you
over to
can say the
mine.
same thing. Yes, it's in the UK as well. You can say the same thing. Head over, come over. But yeah, you might catch British people saying pop over instead. Okay, so after you head over to your parents' place, what do you do together when you're there?
So, my dad, who is honestly a really good cook, likes to barbecue outside or we share a big meal together. So, my dad is a really good cook, a really good cook. That means that he's really good at cooking. He's a really good cook and he likes to barbecue outside or we share a big meal together. I think of a barbecue most of the time, in America, especially. A barbecue is definitely time where we hang out outside. We don't want to leave my dad alone at the grill, just barbecuing all by himself. So we usually move the party outside. If dad is barbecuing at the grill or barbecuing at the grill at the pit, the barbecue pit, then we'll usually try to join him so he can chat with us. We can play some music and we'll be sitting outside. So again, that he's not lonely sitting out there just barbecuing by himself.
Mm. What kind of food does he barbecue? Is it steak, meat, sausages, things like that?
So I'm from Texas, so we pretty commonly barbecue either beef or pork. My dad actually does a really good barbecue chicken, and we throw some vegetables on the grill as well, maybe some potatoes. He makes a killer potato salad as well. I mean, honestly, it's always a feast when we go over there. It's like he's cooking for 20 people, even though it's usually just 5 or 6 people and maybe a couple of friends. So let's see. What about you, Mark? What do you do together with your family?
My mum, being the fantastic cook she is, whips up a delicious breakfast, usually our favourite home comforts. The first thing is a phrase here being the fantastic cook she is. Fantastic cook is the main message. My mum is a fantastic cook. I think this is an example of inversion, where you say, my mum, being the fantastic cook she is, whips up a delicious breakfast. I could change the words in that phrase. I could say, my mum, being the lovely person she is, my mum, being the generous woman she is. So you can change the description in that phrase and keep it the same. So my mum, being the fantastic cook she is, whips up a delicious breakfast. This is another phrase that maybe we've said in a previous episode, but if you whip up some food, you cook it, you make it. You use lots of different ingredients in the kitchen and you make it. It also sounds like she makes it quite quickly. And that makes sense. If she's a fantastic cook, she can cook quickly and she can still cook well. Again, I'm from the UK. So when I talk about my home comforts, I'm talking about traditional British food that I grew up with. This can be for breakfast, lunch, or for dinner. This home comforts are often my favorite food from my childhood or familiar homemade dishes. So, a home comfort breakfast for me would be a full English breakfast. That's quite a big breakfast with lots of different ingredients like sausages, bacon, beans, toast, eggs, mushrooms, tomatoes. It's a big dish. That is a home comfort for me. That's something I look forward to when I visit my parents because I miss the one she makes and the way that she makes it. That is my home comfort. Um, yeah.
Similarly, with home comforts, I'd probably call it comfort food. And again, it's usually that homemade meal that your parents used to make you, or they're the only ones who make it just right. That's that comfort food. It's if you're sad, unhappy, if you miss something, if you're feeling, like you miss your family a little bit, and you just eat that food that just makes you feel so much better. That comfort food, or for Mark, those home comforts.
Yeah, everyone's favorite recipe is their mum's recipe, right? It's the food you grew up with is the best.
Mhm.
Those are home comforts. Okay, so when you're with your parents, after you've had some food or some barbecue, what do you talk about?
So we normally catch up with each other. So if we catch up with someone, we are kind of updating each other on our lives. Okay. So we catch up with each other. I catch up with my parents catch up with me. I learn some news about their week. I get some new information if they have something interesting to tell me, and we catch up with each other. And I get to see how they're doing, and they get to keep tabs on me. Now, I quite like both of these phrases. So I get to see how they're doing, and they get to keep tabs on me. So I'm going to start with I get to see how they are doing. I get to see how they are doing, what they are doing. I get to see it, right? Now, what's the difference here? Hey, your parents, how are they doing? Oh, I get to see how they are doing. So we're not really using the word how as a question. We're actually just adding it on to the sentence. So that connecting word how, just add the rest of the sentence. They are doing. Then when we make a question, we are going to flip it. How are they doing? I don't know how they are doing. Ah, I see how they are doing. So we have a, what do you call it, Mark? A clause where we're connecting those two pieces of information together. And
Mm.
so
A relative clause.
we don't actually need to change the grammar here. We're just going to set up the sentence. I don't know what I am doing. I don't know how you are doing. I'm not sure how she is doing. So, because it's just a sentence, not a question, we don't need to ask it like a question. I do notice that with my students sometimes. That can be a little tricky. Now, I like this phrase to keep tabs on someone. To keep tabs on someone is to kind of always be wondering what they're doing. I think that parents often like to keep tabs on their kids because they're, what are you doing? Who are you dating? Who are you seeing? Who are you spending time with? What are you doing? How's work? Is work good? Why is work bad? So, keeping tabs on someone is, yes, learning and getting updates from someone. But if you're keeping tabs on someone, it's because you're a little bit nosy. I think, what do you think, Mark? If you are keeping tabs on someone, it's not just you're interested in the information, but I feel like you're being a little nosy as well.
A little bit. Parents, even when you grow up and become an adult, your parents will always feel responsible for you and your parents
Mhm.
always want to take care of you. So
Yeah.
obviously, they ask you lots of questions like, are you okay? Do you have a boyfriend or girlfriend? How's the money? How's work? How's your car? How's your house? They want to just make sure all of these things are going well. If something is going badly, maybe they could help, or maybe they want to try and help. And that's them keeping tabs on you and make sure that things are going well in your life.
I'm not sure if this is exactly the origin of this phrase, but I think of like a private investigator keeping lots of folders and you go through each folder and you say like, okay, life is going well, work is going well. And if you're keeping tabs on someone, you're looking through those files and you're thinking, "Huh, hey, you haven't told me about work in a while. What have you been doing?" So you are it's like a private investigator. They want to know everything about your life, so they are keeping tabs on you. Yeah, I feel like the granny
Mm.
that's looking through the curtains, she's always looking, making sure it's like keeping tabs on the neighbors. Like, what are the neighbors doing today? Why are they doing that? What are they doing that for?
Mhm.
So it's kind of a way of keeping in touch, but keeping tabs on someone means that they really want to know that information and they're always going to ask you lots of questions to get that information.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, it's a reason why parents might give their child a phone. Because if your child
Mm,
has a phone, then mum and dad can keep tabs on them,
uh-huh.
send them
Yeah. Hey,
messages,
where are
call
you?
them.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
Where are
where
you
are
right
you?
now? It's
You
5:30.
doing your
Are you at your
homework?
lesson? I'm just
Exactly.
keeping tabs on you. I'm just keeping tabs on you. Okay, so how about you? What do you normally talk about with your parents?
Over a cup of tea, we catch up on each other's lives and share all the latest local gossip. So I also use the same phrase as Kat. We catch up.
Mhm.
So we tell anything new, anything interesting about work, life, and so on. We catch up. Because we're British, obviously, we're drinking tea and we put the cup of tea on the table and then we talk to each other. So literally over a cup of tea.
Mhm.
Over a cup of tea means while we are drinking the tea. We are
Mhm.
drinking and chatting to each other.
We do that too, over a cup of coffee, over dinner, over lunch, and I do think of we are talking over this period of time and physically over the dinner, over lunch, over a cup of tea.
Yeah. So we like to share local gossip. Local
The
meaning it's
goss.
in, yeah, it's in the nearby area. So on the TV, you'll see local news, local events, local gossip too. So that's news or any interesting stories from the neighbors, from work, or from the town in general. So when I talk to my mum or I visit my mum, she usually says, "Oh, you know the neighbors at number 14? They got a new dog." And I go, "Oh, right." Or so and so down at number 20, they moved out. The house is empty. And I go, "Oh, right." So
So
it's just
she's
local gossip.
keeping tabs on the neighbors. She's on the lookout. She's always aware of what's going on, keeping tabs on everyone.
Yeah, right. There's always a gap in the curtain so she can look through, see what everyone's doing, who's walking their dog, who came home late. Yeah, she keeps tabs on the village. But yeah, so that's some local gossip, just little stories from her street or from the area. So, you've had some food, you've had a catch up. What do you do next when you're with your parents?
So after we're finished eating, I pitch in with a few chores around the house, helping out since they're getting a bit older. So we've finished eating. My dad loves to cook, and then usually my mom and my dad will do the dishes later. They don't like it when I do the dishes right afterwards, but I do what I can to pitch in. Pitch in. To pitch in is to help or kind of be a part of the group. Like if we all do a little to pitch in, it means to either help or be part of the group, or with my family, if my dad's doing something, I'll pitch in. I'll pitch in to help. I want to help him if he needs something done that's a little bit more difficult for him to do. I'm absolutely happy to pitch in. Sometimes we use this phrase too if we need to put in money for something. Hey, does everyone want to pitch in to pay for her birthday dinner? That means that we are all going to put it in together. So, in other words, we're helping as part of the group. Hey, if we all pitch in, if we all help, we can get it done. If we all pitch in just a little bit of money, we can get to our goal. So I think of pitching in is either helping the group or helping someone out.
Mm,
Now, I did have an interesting thought earlier. I naturally say, I'm helping them out. I'm helping them out. What's the difference between helping someone and helping someone out? Well, I kind of think in my head, both of them mean something very similar. Helping is giving assistance to someone. I'm helping someone because they need help. But I think helping out is a little bit more informal. My parents didn't ask me to help, and to be honest, maybe they don't really need it. But I want to help them out. I just want to kind of give them, a helping hand. If they just need an extra hand with something, I'm here. I'm here to help out. So I'm helping out a friend. They didn't really need the help, but I wanted to do it because they're my friend. So it's a little bit more informal, and I kind of naturally do it. If I think that my parents really can't do something, they need help. They need help. That
mhm,
feels a little bit more serious. But if they just need someone to help out, maybe they just need a little help, just someone to help out.
Feels a more informal way, especially some people feel uncomfortable or embarrassed about asking for help. So they can make it sound a bit more casual by
Mm,
saying, "Can you help me out just a second?" Some people feel embarrassed or shy about asking for help. So yeah, you can
mm.
make it softer. So, "Can you help me out? Can you help me out for just a second?" That sounds less demanding or like you're less vulnerable and less in need. So it could be a way to get around that awkward feeling. Um,
All right. So what what are you up to?
I lend my dad a hand with a few things around the house, especially as he's getting on in years. So I lend my dad a hand. Lend is another word for give. So give him a hand. Lend him a hand means help him. Help my dad. Lend my dad a hand.
My
Again, it's
my
quite a casual phrase.
Yeah, my
It's a
dad used to say if I say, "Hey, can you lend me a hand?" And he said, "Only if you give it back."
Ah, ha, ha, ha. Yeah,
Thanks, dad.
exactly.
Thanks, dad.
Right.
So, because when you lend somebody something, like if I lend you my phone and
Mm,
you have to give it back, the phrase means to help somebody, but my dad takes it literally. If he gives me a hand, then I have to give it back.
mhm. Right. Yeah, so I lend my dad a hand, I help him. So it's a curious case where you have to put the person in the middle. Lend him a hand.
Mm,
Lend her a
mm.
hand. Lend my
It does
dad
feel
a
weird.
hand.
Yeah, lend a hand to him doesn't work at all,
Right.
does it? No.
Can't put it anywhere else.
Lend him a hand, lend them a hand, lend me a hand.
Mm. Yeah, as a polite question. Again, some people feel weird about asking for help. So, a casual way, sorry, can you lend me a hand? In the past, it's lent. I lent. I lent him a hand with his car.
Mm, mhm.
So, it can be tricky to hear if it's the present or the past. But yeah, usually, typically, I lend my dad a hand with a few things around the house, especially as he's getting on in
Mm,
years. Getting on is a polite way to say he's getting older. The emphasis here is that he's getting older, so he's not as strong as he was. Maybe things are not as easy as they were for him. So if it's picking up something heavy, if it's moving something or climbing a ladder, that is more difficult for someone who's getting on. My mum, for example, keeps her Christmas decorations up in the loft, and there is a ladder, but it's difficult for her to get up and down
mhm.
because she's getting on in years. So if I come and visit in early December, she will always ask me to go up and bring down the decorations. And then in January, she asks me to lend her a hand and put them back up again until next Christmas. So if your parents are getting on, they might need more of a helping hand.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Next question. Do you go out with your parents?
I'd say, do we go out? Not usually. Like if we're talking about going out to a restaurant or going out to a bar, but sometimes we just literally go outside. If the weather's good, we might take a stroll around the park or the neighborhood. So, taking a stroll, that sounds like a very casual, very easygoing way to take a walk. Okay. Now, taking a stroll, maybe we don't know where we're going. We're just going to take a little stroll. We're just going to walk with no real purpose. We're not really doing it for exercise. We're just enjoying being outside, walking around. So, take a stroll around could just be where we want to go or literally around the park or around the neighborhood. Ideally, we will end up back where we started. So, taking a stroll around, taking a little stroll, just walking very casually to enjoy that experience. Now, what about you? Do you head outside or go out with your parents?
Yes, if the weather's nice, we might have a wander around the park. So I've said basically the same thing as Kat. She said, take a stroll. I say, have a wander. To wander is to walk around casually, to enjoy the outdoors, and you have no real destination. I also added around. Around also implies that you don't have a destination or anything to do. You don't have any like time limits. So you can spend 30 minutes or you can spend 2 hours wandering around. Maybe you're early at the airport and you have some time to kill. So I wander around the airport. I don't want to buy anything or do anything. I just want to spend some time. So if me and my family wander around the park, then we're just walking to spend time together and enjoy the outdoors. Uh,
And also, the difference between wandering and wondering. So,
uh,
wandering is to kind of move around without any destination, and wondering is to guess or to think about something. Wandering and wondering.
Yes, right. I wander around the park, but then I wonder where I left my car keys.
I'll be honest,
It's
your
too
in your
similar.
accent, I can barely hear a difference. Wander and wonder.
Really, wander, wonder.
Uh, I barely hear any difference.
That sounds the
So I
same.
know it's kinda yeah, I don't know if maybe it's just difficult that aw, because I say aw,
Mm,
wander, wander. It's really
mm,
like in my nose, and then wonder, wonder almost sounds like one, wonder.
A wander, have a wander, and wonder,
Yeah, but I
wonder.
see you're really
Now I'm
trying there
stressing
to
it.
make it
Right.
sound different. I mean, I get it. I get why accents can be difficult because I'm sure you hear it very clearly, and even I have a hard time, and we both speak the same language. So I
Right,
can imagine why it's difficult for some words that just don't sound very different in different accents. So, but
right. Yeah,
it's a good idea.
context
Yes.
helps a lot, right?
Uh-huh. We'll have the subtitles for everyone to read, and you can see it in our PDFs as well. So don't worry, you'll catch every word.
Okay, well, coming to the end of your time with your parents, when do you usually leave and say goodbye?
Well, I usually kind of head out right after we're done with our walk. And so when it's time to leave, I say my goodbyes and they start planning the menu for the following week. I think this is how it all started, this tradition. Every time I would come over, they say, "Oh, well, um, we have some good ideas for some food for next week." And I say, "Oh, that actually sounds really good." I think that's how it became a tradition, is they were just tempting me back home with lots of food. So, when it's time to leave, I say my goodbyes. I say my goodbyes. Now, if someone else is there, maybe my brother and my sister, I say my goodbyes to each person. You know, bye, little brother, bye, big sister. Like, I say my goodbyes. Every goodbye is a little bit different. I don't just wave goodbye to my whole family. I usually say goodbye to each person. So I say my goodbyes. We could also say our hellos. If you go to a party, I said hello. I said hello to everyone, or I said my hellos. Now I have to go.
Mm.
So we say our goodbyes, and then they start planning the menu for the following week. Now, when I say planning the menu, that sounds a little formal, like something a restaurant would do. But if you are planning some family time, some quality time, a family meal, you might say that you're planning the menu. Ooh, next week, let's make this. Oh, and this would go with it. And maybe you can bring a nice bottle of wine. So, planning the menu is you're getting ready for that next meal for sure. And then the following week. So, whatever week it might be, the next week or the following week. So, the day today, and then the following day, the next day, and the following day, the day after that. So, whatever day is coming next, the next day, the following day, the next week, the following week. All right. And what about you, Mark? When do you leave?
I try to head off before it gets too late and then say my goodbyes and plan my next visit in a few weeks' time. So maybe you heard the same phrase. As Kat said, I say my goodbyes. Funnily, goodbyes is countable, right? One goodbye, two goodbyes.
Oh, I
Oh,
hate goodbyes. I
right.
hate
Oh, I'm
goodbyes.
no good at goodbyes.
I'm no good at
Right.
goodbyes.
Right. So yeah, I'm seeing my parents. That's two people. So that's two goodbyes. Bye, mum. Bye, dad. If you go to a party and there's 10 people and you say goodbye to everyone, that's 10 goodbyes. I say my goodbyes again. I try to head off before it gets too late. Head off means to leave. This is another casual phrase. It's more casual because it's a phrasal verb, head off. If I say, I need to leave, that sounds like there's an
Very
emergency.
serious.
Yeah,
Is
my
everything
house is on
okay?
fire. Yeah. But if, yeah, okay, I need to head off. That means I would like to leave. And it's not because I'm having a bad time. It's nothing bad. I would just like to leave. I'd like to head off.
I would like to leave, please.
Mm, yeah, right. That's
Yeah,
asking for
you can
permission,
leave whenever you want to.
right? Yeah, so the phrase off or the word off means away. So if you go off topic, you go away from the topic. If you walk off, then you walk away.
Mhm,
Or if I fell off my bike, I've gone away from the bike. So off has the away meaning.
mhm,
So head off means I'm leaving, I'm going back to my house. And then I plan my next visit in a few weeks' time. A few is usually 2 or 3. At the very, very beginning of my script, I said every other weekend. So in a few weeks' time is 2 or 3 weeks later. So when I say my goodbyes, I might say, all right, bye, mum, bye, dad. I'll see you in a few weeks' time. So in a few weeks' time, you could say in a few days' time is 2 or 3 days later. In a few months' time, 2 or 3 months later, and so on. So there we go. We've gone through both of our scripts. Hopefully, you've learned some new phrases, expressions that you can use when you talk about your family visits. Please write us a comment. What do you do when you hang out or spend quality time with your parents? See if you can use some of the phrases or expressions you've heard in this episode. We read all the comments, we reply to all of them. So please get in touch.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us. And again, if you'd like the PDF transcript, simply join our memberships. All levels of all members get our PDF transcripts for just about 3 to sometimes 5 videos a week. So you have lots of things to study, and we keep churning them out for you guys. So thank you so much for being a member, and we are very excited for our next video. Thank you, everyone.